rather than replace their job, they need to understand, okay, how do we use this AI? Okay, there's always going to need to be someone that needs to steer the AI. The thing about business, it's always about trust. You know, if we good partnership, good trust, that'll work. But that'll only go so far when, you know, the rest of the industry is where it's at. You know, if you can deliver good customer service, you turn that $3 nugget or $3 into like an opportunity for next time. You know, give that person that customer, they'll come back. We talk about AI, but we don't want to hire AI. You know, we can use AI for all those other things that we need to solve, but we want real people to deliver us.
Solve the real problem.
Yeah. To deliver a service, I guess. You go to a workplace, there's this one technician who can do anything. He loves dealing with customers and do this, do that, you know, and solve any problem. But the thing is, I don't expect every technician to be just like him, you know. Learn to listen. So that's the key thing. People are too busy, like, trying to blurt out the solution or the problem or say something, you know.
Welcome to the PioneerPod. I'm your host and real estate consultant, Suraj. This episode is presented by Everest Global Education in association with Everest Tax. In this episode, we are speaking with Petch Folvig. He is an IT guy. He is with Modern Tech Solutions. In this episode, we will discuss more about IT, AI, technology, and how they are serving the community, helping their clients. And we will also discuss the new entrepreneurs and new people or the student they just graduate can get into the career and how they can benefit from his company and his service as well. Let's welcome him to the show. Petch, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
So how's your day been? So what you are working on these days?
Oh, yeah. So recently I merged my little IT company with Modern Tech. But I guess the main thing is that, you know, coming on board to a new company, learning their processes and stuff like that. But more importantly, I'm helping out the team there, you know. So that's part of my role as a team lead,
Right.
is that I'm helping to teach young guys. But more importantly, us as a company as a whole, we help businesses with their cybersecurity and helping improve their systems. That's the main focus right now. Just making sure that all the systems are really secure. So,
right, amazing. So, what are the difference you find? Like you had your own company now merged with the Modern, Modern Tech Solutions, and it's a bigger company.
Yeah, I guess the challenge with IT at the moment is that it's just so broad now. You can't do it as one person anymore. I did really well, but you know, just because I focus on delivering such a personal service, that really grew. A lot of people are really looking for that service that, you know, they can rely on someone that they know, build a trust, build a relationship with, and that they can call on, you know, and speak to personally, you know. They're not talking to a robot. They're not talking to someone overseas, or you know, they're local and true to Australia. So. That's what's really cool.
So how long you been in the industry? So it's been a long. You studied IT as well.
Yeah, I've studied IT, but I've also been across doing many things. I actually started in community services, working hard, helping the community. But I've always really been good with technology. That's why I've been able to really connect with people and understand their needs. But you know, as a young person, I love to build computers.
That's right.
And all of a sudden, that's my passion. Essentially, I just, you know, the real thing with IT, it's just problem solving, you know. And that's the main thing, helping people solve the issues and then, you know, improve the systems. So, yeah.
So, you know, now the world has evolved more on technology. Now we're talking about AI and, you know, there's so many AI was even in the phone, like when you are ringing someone, that can be the virtual assistant, you know, like that can be an AI model. And even in the social media, like, you know, you think like that's a real person, but that could be an AI. So how important it is to, you know, manage all those things and safeguard yourself, your business, and safeguard the children.
Yeah, and that's the challenge we face with IT all the time, mainly because the industry's always evolving and always changing. 10 years ago, we would have been having a different conversation about, cloud, or
Right.
we would have had conversation about the internet, Now that we've got that past, now we're on to the next thing, And right now the conversation really is about AI, cybersecurity, but that's why you have people like us, because we're there before you, before you say and help explain that stuff. And the thing with AI is that it's here. A lot of people are using it, and the discussion really is you're not going to be replaced by AI, but if you want to be there with it, people are going to look for companies that are using AI. So there are ways that AI can help you, but also help your customers and help everybody. I'm sure you probably used some AI already.
Definitely, yeah.
What type of AI have you used?
So on our workplace, like mostly we have to do a lot of emails and proper descriptions and videos as well, subtitles and so on, because I'm on real estate. So those are the most used things we do through AI, because that will save a lot of time.
Correct.
And everyone is using this, and you need to use it in a good way to make it nicer, professional, and so on. So is there anything, let's say, if you are not in IT, you have been in some other particular field, or
sorry,
let's say, so if you are not in IT,
if I wasn't in IT,
so what will be the profession or sector?
I thought about going gardening.
Right.
I've started. That's more of a hobby, though, I guess. But look, I've always taken on challenges and found ways to help people. So I've always done community development or professional services and stuff like that. I always thought about becoming a life coach, or what you call it, doing leadership training and stuff like that. So that's one thing I've always desired. But I guess that's something I'm already doing as part of my job.
That's right.
People that I work with. So that's the exciting thing. Especially in the IT industry, no 2 days are ever the same.
No.
You can try to plan for tomorrow, but something always pops up. And I think, especially with I've started using AI as well. It's about saving your time and money. That's essentially what IT always is. It's about being more efficient and helping save you time. And that allows you to do other things, or spend more time with your family, or do other, grow your business. We think of AI as this overarching big thing that we need to do everything with. Start AI for one small thing, like you just said, just solving your emails and saving that thing. So, AI can just, those processes I think about that I hate doing, I hate marrying my accounts, or I hate adding the numbers or doing the budgets or something like that. AI can help with that, Okay, use AI to fix that problem, and then you can go do the things that you love the most, right? Selling houses, or getting new listings, or meeting people, having coffees. If I can take an hour of my day, that extra hour can go spend having a coffee or something, So
there is a few people are saying there is a risk. Some people might lose their jobs. So what do you think the possibility of the people who doesn't adopt online technology and AI, they can lose their job, or they can't expand their business and compete with their competitor? What's the risks will be?
Well, I'm going to throw this out. Right? Do you know the original word computer, what that was? Computer.
I think that's just passing messages.
No,
store data.
Computer was actually a job title. There was someone that they used to have as a job many years ago.
Wow.
That they would calculate things. So it would be like, okay, a computer is someone that would do all these sums for me, or add all these things up, or do this particular job. And then the actual physical computer came along and took away those jobs. Well, what happened to those people? They had to learn how to use the computer, or they had to learn to go do something else. So rather than replace the job, they need to understand, okay, how do we use this AI? Okay, there's always going to be someone that needs to steer the AI, or be able to be more efficient. So it solved the problem of doing all these sums okay, that's all done that for us. So what can we do now? How can we grow our business? I think the analogy shouldn't be focused on losing jobs, but what more can we do now? And teaching. How can we embrace this technology and move forward with it? So that's I guess that's a small point, but I bet you that same question will happen 50 years from now when we're like some new piece of technology. Space travel. Oh no, that's going to replace Earth jobs.
That's right.
Who knows? So that's just food for thinking. But a lot of people don't know that computer was actually a job title. So.
Wow, I didn't know either.
Yeah. So that's the someone who computes things. So,
Right, and you deal with a lot of clients, and at the same time you are mentoring, coaching on your office as well. And what do you find the difference with the new generation who just started, like a Gen Z populations, and the older generation who just want to want to learn the social media, online stuffs, and they have big AI kind of things? What are the differences you're finding?
A very interesting point there, actually.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of our clients, the people that pay us money, they're the older generation.
Wow.
A lot of the staff, the one that are learning and growing, they're the younger generation. The really cool thing about the younger generation is that they already know more than what I already know. They these days they're teaching coding in schools. The kids come out with knowing a little bit of code or knowing more than what I knew when I was at their age. And that's crazy. But that's great. That's a good thing, because then we can help grow that. They're going to be us 10 years from now. They need someone to lead them and guide them, because what young people have is enthusiasm. They want to change the world. They want to take on the next best thing and grow stuff. It's enthusiasm and it's energy, but they don't lack the experience. They don't. I know what I know because I've made a lot of mistakes.
Right.
So that's what the young people need. And then at the same time, the older generation, they're stuck in their ways. They're used to, certain things being a certain way, or that they didn't have mobile phones, and then but they've been through. What you got to realize is they've already been through three decades of technological changes. Very interesting, because John, right? John. John's part of our Rotary. Having some great conversations with him lately. He was one of the ones that sold the first cash registers, in Australia,
Wow.
Well, no, in WA, he went around to the country or something, those type of things. But that's crazy, the type of things that they've been through, all those generations, and they when you ask them, they've been through it before.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of finding that meeting spot, and the cool thing is that we're just continuing on that legacy,
Yeah.
And that's continuing that cycle. What's the next best thing? And, I guess finding that right balance is always key. Of encouraging that enthusiasm, but doing the right thing.
Right. So, and some people say I have really good client base, and because they've been on the same industry, on the job, they're running successfully for 20-30 years.
Yeah.
And they might say, so I don't need this. I have really loyal customer, client base, and referral. And how hard it will be to someone who is coming with all the modern tech AI, and they are have a really good customer base, and they are from 20-30 years. How hard to compete with the new business and new AI? They can survive? What do you think?
Yeah, look. There's they can survive. The thing about business, it's always about trust. If a good partnership, good trust, that'll work. But that'll only go so far. When the rest of the industry is where it's at. Because look, I talk to all the people a lot of times. Most of the industry is using Microsoft, right? They're using Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, and all that stuff. I'm sure you're using.
Yeah, definitely Microsoft. Outlook,
especially for Office, just because it's so easy to use. Everyone's familiar with it, but you can be confident that when you send an email, someone else is using that, right? If someone else is using Microsoft Office, someone else is using Microsoft Office. But then, say you bring on somebody who's using a Mac and they're using the Mac versions of Word or Excel, which is they call it Pages, and all that stuff. It's not always compatible, you know. It'll look weird.
I know what I mean.
Won't work.
Yeah,
you know?
it looks different.
Yeah, you're going to be different. You know, you're kind of not fitting in with the rest of the group. You know, it's a bit like that as well. You know, so the rest of the world is starting to use AI, then you're not using it, and you kind of you're going to fall behind. You know, or
that's right.
Be compatible. You know, but it's like I said. People think about AI, they only think about it as one thing, you know, like a chatbot. They think of it as a chatbot, or they think of it as ChatGPT. AI can be used for many other things. It's just, it's automated thinking, really, you know. So I'll give you a good example. Real estate, you know. Imagine you can have AI to look at all the houses sold recently, and how much they sold for, you know. You probably have a process for that, but that's just a way of me thinking that that automation, you know. So yeah. One other application, and I'll tell you how it's used in IT, you know. A lot of the times when a customer calls, even for me, who's quite an experienced person and my time is valuable, I'm having to do the basic troubleshooting steps when they first call. For example, I've got no internet. Have you rebooted the modem? Have you called the ISP? Have you checked this? Have you checked that?
Wow.
The amount of times I've had to do that, right? Which is very basic troubleshooting, but it's what the steps you just need to have to go through, right?
Yeah.
What if it called the chatbot first and it said, you know, have you done this? Have you done that? Have you done that? At least got that stuff out of the way. Okay. Then it's called me and it said, okay, person's done this, this, and this. Okay, what do we do? We need to do this. I can then go to the higher level troubleshooting straight away and then figure out. But if not, it's already solved those steps, you know?
Right.
So I'm only used for the proper high level stuff, you know? So that's one way of doing it. In for example, in real estate, what if it qualified your leads already? That, you know, AI can listen to a phone call and say, gather a person's emotional state, you know? Listen to the tone of voice, listen to how fast they're talking together and say, okay, this person really wants a sale. They sound like they really want to buy. Or it sounds like they're just shopping around, you know? So would you rather then spend your time focusing on the one that's going to get you the sale or focus on the one that's just shopping around, you know? That's just an example. I'm sure you'll still call them both. So, yeah, but at least then you'll be more prepared.
Today, while we are recording this episode, so how far the AI and technology has been? Yeah,
look, I'll be honest, these examples I've told you, they're just still in development. AI is, you know, and we had a good chat about it just the other day at one of our SPN meetings. But it basically, you got to consider AI like a teenager. It's still a teenager. It'll get into trouble. It's still learning, you know. But about a year or 2 years from now,
that's a good analogy.
Yeah, about a year or 2 years from now, it's going to be a bit more mature, you know. So do you want to get ahead of it now, or wait till everyone else is already ahead of it? So that's my learn about it now. Start to tinker with it, play around with it, figure it out, and then you'll be a bit more prepared. You know, about a year or two when it comes through. So
yeah. I think I think the model of having your own copy and your mini AI who think, who act, and who speak, and responds like yourself, and you have to train for them like sometimes, and they will respond to you on your way, like emails, phone call, text message, and so on. That's, I think people are using that, or how mature that's been.
Yeah, so that's like I said, I think that's still maturing, but it has its uses, you know, because you put it in your own system. But the thing that a lot of people are still struggling with is actually how does AI actually work? You know, so the code behind it and all that stuff. So we're kind of a bit more of leading on the faith side. You know, we just believe it, and but there could be a bit more educational people out on this. But it's a lot of technical talk, so you know, I won't get into it.
Right. Yeah.
But it is. You know, it's a bit more developed. You've got to understand how far it has come. AI, it's not like it just started happening 2 or 3 years ago. People have been developing this over like the last 20, 30 years, you know. Okay. But it's just come a long way. The reason why it's jumped so much is the fact that hardware itself is now at that state that it can run that. You know, processors are much faster. We've got a lot more supply of you know, components. And the internet, you know, so it's now reached that kind of critical point where it's feasible, you know.
Right.
So that's the nature about it. I mean, one to consider. Have you ever played chess?
Yeah.
That's always been around a long time, where you know, people are trying to compete against the computer for chess, you know, and it's always learning that person's moves, you know. But it's now even faster and crazier now.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes I think it will be inevitable.
Yeah, that's right.
Because AI can learn from everywhere. You know, a lot of data is available online, and the AI is getting information from anywhere. And you know, definitely you have just your own mentality, and you have just limited knowledge. Whereas AI can access thousands of people's brain. And all the information available online, and it can be really powerful.
Yeah. The key component, if you're concerned about AI, is to test it. Test it in a safe environment. Test it. You know, a good example is: do you just, you know, you look for a new car? Do you take it for a test drive before you buy it and start to use it? So, it's cool thing.
Yeah, I want to touch bit about on your personal life as well. So you are on AI technology for many years, and you have to give some times for yourself to get recharged, and you help people as well. You are in community, you are in Rotary Club as well. You know, how do you balance yourself?
Well, the good thing is I'm still single, so. But I guess I'm very close to my family. You know, I've got my brother and sister that work with kids and amazing businesses. It's good that I've always got a supportive family. My brother, so I work in IT in terms of just general computers, helping businesses. My brother is a little bit of the other spectrum where he does coding. He does software development and stuff like that. So he's a bit more intricate in that type of stuff, but we can speak the same language, you know. But you know, I like to think that you can. I grew up in Bunbury, which is
down south, down amazing.
South. But I like to think you can take the boy out of Bunbury, but you can't take the Bunbury out of the boy. That's what they say.
Wow.
So you know, I still have friends down there. That's how I relax. But it's about like anything. Life is all about finding balance, you know. So you work hard, but you find your time for yourself. I recently got a dog. So it's a husky.
Yeah, I think I saw in your social post. Yeah.
He helps balance my life out. When I come home, I've had a long day. Get relaxed and take him for a walk, and being very supportive, emotional. Good emotional dog. You know, but the key thing is, I'm sure you've ever heard of Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
This is the reason why I stick with IT. Steve Jobs said, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. I hardly see what I do as work because I love it, you know. Back in the day when I was studying, you know, or when I'll come home and I'll go on my computer, you know, I'll play around or I'll tinker or I'll break something or fix something, you know. Yeah. That's the key thing about learning with IT is you learn how to break something and you learn how to put it back together. But that's poor advice. But but I guess what I'm trying to say is that, you know, very passionate about what I do in terms of IT. It's my vehicle being able to help people, and that's why I hardly see it as work sometimes. I mean, there'll be days where it feels like that. There'll be days where you don't want to get out of bed. You've got some tough decisions to make or some tough conversations to have. But at the end of the day, you remember why. You got to find your why. And I'm not sure you've ever heard that from Simon Sinek.
Yeah.
Wonderful book. And I guess that's finding your why. And that's the thing that will drive you the most. I guess for me, it's because I want to make a difference. That's why I'm in Rotary. That's why we wake up at 5 o'clock and go to the markets.
That's really experience. Every 6 weeks, I think.
About that. But you get there and you realise you walk around, you're collecting the money, and you realise that you're not doing it for you, you're doing it for everyone else.
Yeah, that's right.
And the thing is, they'll do it for you too. Like it's a bit of community. That's what community is about. And in IT, there's an IT community. There's something I call about collaboration over competition. We're all on the same side. There is obviously competition. It's hard. You're trying to run a business, and there's a bit of a market there. But at the end of the day, especially in IT, we've got to consider our competition. Really, our enemy is the hackers. It's the cyber attackers. Those people that want to, destroy business, steal things. We should really be working together to protect everyone. So as long as we're doing the right thing and holding each other to a high standard, that's what matters to us. So, and when I do a ticket, when I fix on or I deliver a solution that I never thought I could, when I do something different or I learn something new, you get that feeling, that feeling of gratification, And sometimes I relate it to like, I'm not sure you've ever been surfing. You've been in Australia? Have you gone surfing yet?
Don't have a surfing experience, but I swim.
Yeah. But I guess what I'm trying to say is when you're surfing, you catch a wave and it feels really good, but sometimes, waves come in sets, sometimes you have to wait, you have to wait there and then that wave will come, It's that feeling of like, that exhilaration and kind of, I relate it to when I close a ticket, I solved that person's problem, and sometimes, especially, and this was really cool, I'll go to a client site and, I've installed a new server or a new rack and I walk past and I've tidied up all the cables, looks so pretty and everyone is so proud of that work. You walk past about 3 months later and you remember, I did that, It's a good feeling. It's probably like when you sell a house, you probably drive past and realize, I sold that house.
I sold that. I know the family there. And maybe I just say like, hi, how are we doing? I just give them a call. I was driving past. So just had one call from one of my buyer. He is in Queen's Park property. He just sold about 6-7 months ago, and he is ready for another investment property. Hi, Suraj, you have and have you have any other property? I'm looking for to buy, and that's really happened.
But they remember you. And that's the coolest thing.
And he said, I'm giving you the first call. For the 2 hours, because he gave me really good testimonials and review as well. Because of the service, that been a long-term relations, already been 2-3 years, 2-3 months of that relation when from the property goes on market to the settlement, and that give you trust and build your relation.
It must feel good, that they remember you, I didn't think it'll impact me as much, but no. So I guess I had a similar feeling just the other day. I had a client call me that I used to work with many years ago, and just they gave me a call, frustrated with their current IT. I tried to approach them when I was a one-man band, and they refused me because I was just one person. A big risk on such a large business. But after growing my business and then growing, becoming part of a bigger company with more resources, they gave me a call back. And
you own the business again.
Yeah, and it was just a good feeling to remember they remembered me. So I didn't realize how much of an impact that would be, but it felt really good. So
So I just want to touch base more on this one. So how important is to get aligned with the the brand. You said like you merge with the modern tech and you get the clients back again. And the like-minded people and the brand, how important it is to align with those big stuffs there.
I guess the biggest thing is understanding what the values are. What a business values are, what are their vision is, where do they want to be, and what is their key, what do they kind of value the most? Is it that they value having the right systems, or do they value having customer service as their main draw, or do they value what are those kind of key values, and do they match yours? Are you similar in those aspects? The reason why I chose modern tech was because I've known the business owner for many years, and we've become friends, and that we've the way that we care about our customers. We don't just care about them because they're a client. They give us money. We care about them because they want to do the right thing. They gave us a chance, they gave us an opportunity, and we want to make sure that we take care of them as well. So,
So how about the aligning yourself with the like-minded people and spending time with them as well? How important is that?
I think it's very important. Relationship-based leadership is something that I'm very passionate about. It's something about like you spend your time, a lot of your time with these people. You can just have a working relationship, or you can get to know them.
And the personal.
You build trust not only with your clients, but with your staff as well. And trust is something that you kind of either need to earn, or you can't just demand trust. You're just going to burn bridges. You got to earn that trust, and that comes over time. You've got to prove yourself, or showcase that example. So, and I think that's especially with young people, they just want to be given opportunities, be given a chance, and a chance to make mistakes,
right?
Because they're going to make mistakes, and then you're going to be ready to clear that up, to fix that. So, I guess that's the key component. So,
that's right. So, when we talk about our audience of this podcast, and even my friends and my younger brothers, they questions me. The IT AI is a new era. That's an emerging field. It's growing massively, and they want to ask what course they need to do, and even like people can work remotely. They can find work-life balance and harmony as well. What's the advice you give to someone who is graduating and who wants to study on AI, and what the scope will be?
100%. I get this all the time. I'll share about a little bit of my journey and how I got into it. I grew up in Bunbury, which is a small town just south of Perth. It does have IT, but it doesn't have a lot. It's about 60,000 people in that region, but not a lot of businesses. There's a little bit behind, So when I was growing up, I couldn't get a job because I didn't in IT because I didn't know anyone,
Wow.
I didn't, so I had to move to the city. I had to move to Perth, and then there were a lot more opportunities. But kind of like I didn't have those chances, but I had to learn things a different way. I worked elsewhere. I worked at McDonald's.
But that's where we start.
The important thing was working at those places. You learn customer service. You learn how to talk to people. You learn the good people. You learn the bad people. But you learn it like I had an argument about some lady with 3 nuggets. But you still learn to deliver that customer service. You one of the key things with McDonald's
Mhm.
was look, McDonald's is really good because they have a lot of systems, you know? They are the masters of systems development. So you learn those systems, you can apply them anywhere. But anyway, one of the things that learned at McDonald's was that turning like a problem into an opportunity, you know? If you could do good customer service, you turn that $3 nugget or $3 into like an opportunity for next time, you know?
Right.
Give that person that customer, they'll come back. They'll come back 10 times, you know? It's a bit like that with IT, you know? I get customers call, especially with IT, you only get customers call you when things are broken or think there's a problem, you know?
Right, yeah.
But that's the thing, right? Like, okay, look, we can turn this broken computer into an opportunity for a new one, you know? And then there's a sale, and then there's more opportunities, you know? Okay, what other computers have you got broken, you know?
Yeah.
What other things that...
A new thing has come up.
That's right. And so you don't look at things, it's all about perspective, you know? If you look at things as a problem, you're going to see problems. If you look at things as an opportunity, I think every ticket or every time a customer calls, it's an opportunity for engagement, you know? There's an opportunity to speak to them, get to know them, deliver a service. So it can be hard sometimes, especially when you're drowning in tickets. But then you gotta, you know, it's an effort to look for this opportunity. So anyway, my point is that to get into IT is I see it as a customer service industry. Technology, you can learn, we can teach, we can develop, but we can't teach customer service in a way that, you know, how do you talk to this customer and scream at me, you know? You learn to listen.
That's right.
You know? But so that's one thing, learn customer service. But the thing is, especially with Australians like to deal with Australians. That's the thing. But I'm not you know, I'm not white, but I know how to speak. You know, I grew up. The thing with growing up in Bunbury, I grew up with people that work in the mines. I grew up with people that work in trades. They swear a lot. They get angry a lot. They're very true blue. They get angry at the small things, but that's just how they talk. You know, you reflect with them. The thing about those type of people is that if you could deal with their behaviour, deal with their attitude, you earn their trust, you know? They're like, you can put up with my shit, I can deal with you. So that's one thing to understand is you don't realise that unless you're over here, you know? But that's one of the key things, I guess. Learning people, it starts with there. In terms of the technology, the AI and all that, especially when it comes to uni and study, you can go 3 years about uni and still know nothing, because what the industry really cares about is a lot of industry certifications, you know? Right. So learning your networking stuff, you know, if you're learning AI, check out that Microsoft AI courses, you know? Check out something that's more industry-based, you know? And if you're going to employers, have something to show, you know? So, okay, you've studied AI, but have you used it anywhere? You know, what type of projects have you delivered? Can you give me some examples of the projects that you've delivered, you know? So I know that you've got an understanding about it. So have something that you can show, you know? But because, you know, it's a very when I conduct interviews, we go for personality. You know, personality is very important because we want to know that you can fit in with the team. You know, a lot of people. Everyone's different. You know, some people like to joke around. Some people are a bit too serious. Like, you know, what is it about you? We enjoy. You know, I personally enjoy a fun workplace. You know, that's because you know. You spend all your time at work, you know, you want to enjoy it, you know. So, you know, if I find someone that can make me laugh, that's a good sign that they've got an engaging personality. So,
that's right.
So if you're going for an interview, take one joke with you.
That's right. Yeah.
So that's
So you want the same service to be delivered to your client as well, so they feel connected,
correct.
and and you actually enjoying the working environment, and you serving client as well. Definitely. And you also mentioned it's not about the education and bigger certificate from the bigger uni. It's about the actual information and knowledge and your capacity and expertise dealing with the people.
Correct.
Am I correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes, right on the money there. You should work in IT. I think that the key thing is that we talk about AI, but we don't want to hire AI. We can use AI for all those other things that we need to solve, but we want real people to deliver us.
Solve the real problem.
Yeah. To deliver a service, I guess. And when I say that, I tell the techs this all the time. Because you find, you go to a workplace, there's this one technician who can do anything. He loves dealing with customers and do this stuff, and solve any problem. But the thing is, I don't expect every technician to be just like him, I mean, I want them to find their own way, I want them to be you. You can't be them, be you, but find the best version of you, because that's the that's something that we can't replace. I love telling the techs, look, when you're on a phone call with them, you're looking something up, ask them how their day is.
That's right.
Engage them in conversation. Because that's
not restrict to the business all the time.
Exactly.
Like we get that blame from our client most of the time in the real estate, because we are on sales and we are really salesy, and that's the really big thing we get.
We're trying to get to the end of the problem. Take 2 minutes just to ask, okay, how's your day? I say all the time, because they're calling us with a problem.
They're really eager to share that problem, but you hold them like 1 or 2 minutes asking about them and kind of thing.
Must be having a rough day, computer's not working. Hopefully we can get this back on your feet for you.
That's right.
Learn to listen. So that's the key thing. People are too busy trying to blurt out the solution or the problem or say something. Take 2 minutes just to hear what that actual person's saying, Oh, my computer's not starting. My boss is onto me. We've got a deadline to deliver, blah, 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 blah. You can feel they're under the pump. They're gauge what they're really, really about. Because sometimes maybe they don't want to talk,
Right.
But, at least you try, And that's the key.
Yeah, that's a really good tips for our audience out there. Because you just said it's really good thing, because it's not about the big certificate, it's about the learning and the people skill as well. And some of our audience or business owners there, they want to implement the AI, they need the IT guidelines, and you can mentor and you can provide the service as well. So what will be the best way to contact you? And someone wants to be into the IT sector to make their career, and do you have any internship available there, and how our audience can connect with you?
Unfortunately, at the moment we just finished our intake, so but we might be open to some more as we grow. But you can reach me on LinkedIn. So welcome to message me. You find my name on LinkedIn. But also check out our website. It's modentech, modentech.com.au. Feel free to give us a call. And ask for Petch, ask for me, and be happy to have a chat. I love having coffee, so feel free to reach out.
Or you can join even Rotary as well. You can come in a Sunday morning market there.
You'll find me at the markets on Sunday mornings, or Tuesdays at the Constance Golf Club for Rotary.
That's right. It's really engaging. It's really enjoyable conversation we had. It's nearly been an hour. We had a few conversations off the record as well.
I think we'll always have these conversations, Suraj.
It's really nice, because we used to have different conversation while we are in Rotary, how to help and do the community kind of thing, just a bit of your work and personal kind of thing, and it's about the actual work. And even on this podcast as well, we are giving lots of tips for our the audience who wants to use the AI technology, and someone who wants to build their career in IT sector as well. It's been really good and informative for myself as well. Thank you for being on this show, and thank you for your valuable time and insight.
And thanks for having me on board.
Thank you, Fiz, for your valuable time, and our audience and even myself had a really good time. That was really informative, and hopefully our audience get a lot of information, wealth of knowledge from this episode. And all your description and your contact details we'll put on the show description.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here. And for our audience, thank you so much for supporting us. If you want to get connected with Petch, his contact details and the website details is on description. Please feel free to reach out to him. And he's also a Rotary Club member. You can join him and meet him onto the Rotary Club in Gosnell Golf Club as well. Thank you for keep supporting us. Namaste. See you on next episode.